If you really want to become an Excel data analyst, then working fast is not optional. It's expected, and by the end of this video, you all already be faster than most Excel users. Before we start, let me tell you one thing clearly. You do not need to remember everything today. In fact, most analysts only use 10 to 15 shortcuts regularly. If something feels overwhelming, that's completely normal. We learn shortcuts by using them, not by memorizing lists. Welcome to Data by Tayyaba. This channel is for those who want to become Excel data analysts, not just Excel users. Everything here is free, complete, and explained step by step, just like paid courses. This is video 2 in our Excel basic to intermediate playlist, and we are building your foundation properly. In this video, I will show you first why keyboard shortcuts actually matter in data analytics, not just for speed, but for professional work. Second, the most important shortcut is 6 categories: navigation, selection, editing, workbook management, worksheet switching, and functions. And third, a real world speed challenge so you can see the difference yourself. By the end, you all understand which shortcut to focus on first. Let me tell you something from real analyst work. Imagine you are working with a dataset that has 50,000 rows and 20 plus columns. Customer sales data. Your manager asks you quickly check the last entry, then jump to the top, then select entire column. To copy it, if you are using your mouse to scroll down 50,000 rows, you all waste minutes on something that should take 2 seconds. This is where shortcuts change everything. They don't just make you faster, they make you look professional. This is the kind of data Excel analysts work with in real work jobs. Sales record with dates, products, regions, and revenue. We all use this data set to practice shortcuts step by step. Don't worry about the data itself. Focus on the shortcut. I have added a simple practice file in the description if you want to keep it open while watching. Let's start with navigation because if you can't move around quickly, nothing else matters. Let me explain why shortcuts are so important for analysts, especially. First, speed. In real jobs, you are not working with 10 rows, you are working with thousands or even hundreds of thousands of rows. Every second counts, even you are cleaning data, checking values, or building reports. Second, accuracy. When you use keyboard shortcuts, your hands stay on the keyboard. You are not constantly switching between keyboard and mouse, which reduce mistakes. And third, professionalism. When you are in a meeting and someone asks you to quickly check something in Excel, using shortcuts make you look confident and competent. This is not about showing off, it's about efficiency. And from an analyst point of view, efficiency is part of the job. Okay, let's start with basic navigation. These are the shortcuts you all use most often. Now that you understand where everything is, let me open a simple sample file, something that looks like real workplace data. First, the arrow keys up, down, left, right. They move you one cell at a time. Simple but essential. Now, this is where it gets powerful. It's a control plus down arrow jumps you to the last row with data in that column. Control plus up arrow takes you back to the top of the data. Control plus right arrow and control plus left arrow do the same thing horizontally. They jump to the edge of your data. This is where most beginners get confused, and that's okay. The key is understanding that control plus arrow key doesn't move you one cell, it jumps to whatever the data start or ends. Control plus home always takes you to the cell A1, the very beginner of your worksheet, no matter where you are. This is bearing you back to the start. As an analyst, I use this constantly when I am jumping around a large file and need to reset my view. Control plus and takes you to the very last cell that has data or formatting. It's the opposite of control plus home. This is super useful when you want to quickly check how big your dataset is. Page down, scroll down one screen, and page up, scroll up one screen. It's faster than using your mouse wheel when you are reviewing data. And you have many columns, alt plus page down, scrolls horizontally to the right, and Alt plus page up scrolls left. If you remember only one thing from this section, Control plus arrow keys are non-negotiable for analysts. This is one is less common but really helpful when you are working with wide data sets like financial reports with 20 plus columns. Okay, at this point, you should be able to understand what's happening. Even if you can't do it perfectly yet, clarity comes before speed. Now, let's talk about selecting data. Because navigation is useless if you can't select what you need. Shift plus arrow keys. These select cells one by one in any direction. Hold Shift, then press any arrow key. Select everything from your current cell to the last row with data in that column. This is how analysts quickly select entire columns of data without dragging the mouse. Same works horizontally, Control plus Shift plus right arrow. Select to the last column with data. Control plus A. Select all data in your current sheet. If you press it twice, it selects the entire worksheet. In real jobs, this situation comes very often when you need to copy or format all your data at once. Control plus A. Select the entire column from top to bottom. Shift plus A. Select the entire row from left to right. These two are lifesavers when you need to delete or format entire rows or columns quickly. Alright, now editing shortcuts. These are the ones you all use every single day. F2 puts you into edit mode for the active tab. Instead of double clicking, just press F2. This is faster and keeps your hands on the keyboard. Control plus C copy, Control plus X cut, Control plus V paste. You probably know these already, but they are essential. Control plus Z undoes your last action and Control plus Y redo it. As an analyst, I prefer to keep Control plus Z very close to my workflow. Mistakes happen and undo is your best friend. Delete, clear the content of the selected cell, but keep the formatting. Control plus G, fill down. If you selected a cell with data and blank cells below it, Control plus C copies the top value down. This is very useful when you are cleaning data and need to fill missing values. Control plus R does the same thing horizontally, fill to the right. Just make sure the data above or left is correct. Excel blindly copies it. With this one skill, you can already handle real-world Excel tasks like cleaning data, filling formulas, and preparing reports faster. Now let's look at Workbook and Worksheet shortcuts, managing file and switching sheets. Control plus N. Open a new workbook instantly. Control plus O. Open the Open dialog so you can choose a file. Control plus S. Save your work. Honestly, press this every few minutes. It's a habit every analyst should have. Control plus W. Close the current workbook without closing Excel. Control plus page down moves you to the next sheet and Control plus page up moves to the previous sheet. In real jobs, you all often work with files that have 5 or 10 sheets. This shortcut is much faster than clicking tabs with your mouse. Shift plus 11 instantly insert a new worksheet. Okay, that covers workbook management. Later we all connect this with more advanced multiple sheet technique when we get to worksheet management. Finally, 3 function shortcuts that will save your time when working with formulas. Alt plus equal. Instead, a sum function automatically. Excel guesses which cells you want to sum. Super fast for quick calculation. Control plus backtrack. This is the key above tab next to the 1 key. It toggles between showing values and formulas. This is how analysts quickly check if formulas are correct without clicking each cell. F4 has 2 uses. First, it repeats your last action. Like if you just apply bold, F4 apply bold again to the next cell. Second, when you are editing formula, F4 triggers between absolute and relative reference, adding or removing dollar signs. We all cover absolute reference in detail later. But just know F4 is very important for formula building. Let me show you the real difference shortcuts make. I'm going to do a simple task twist. Once with mouse, once with shortcuts. Task. First, go to cell A1. Second, select column B, entire data. Third, copy it. Fourth, go to the last row of data. 5, paste. 6, go back to cell A1. Using the mouse wheel, scroll up, click cell A1, click column B header, select the data. Right click, copy, scroll down, paste it, scroll up, click cell A1 again. Using shortcut, Control plus Home, right arrow, Control plus Shift plus down arrow, Control plus C, Control plus V, Control plus Home. That's the difference. Same task, 15 seconds, various 4 seconds. This is one building block of becoming a professional Excel data analyst. When you combine shortcuts with formulas, functions, and analysis skills, you become very efficient. At this point, you have learned the most important shortcuts in Excel. You don't need to remember all of them right now. Just start using 5 or 6 regularly, and the rest will come naturally. In the next video, we all learn cell selection, editing, copying, and pasting in much more detail. We all cover advanced copy techniques, paste, special, flash fill, and other features that analysts use every day. In the next videos, we all slowly connect everything together: shortcuts, formulas, data cleaning, and eventually full analysis projects. I also upload our shortcut chat sheet PDF in the description. You can print it or keep it open while you practice. Remember, Excel is not about formulas, it's about data analysis, analytics, and thinking like a professional Excel data analyst clearly. I will see you in the next lesson of your data journey.